Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. And today is the very first episode of our Python programming series. So without a further ado, let's start. So before we jump into Python or any other languages, let me just brief you what exactly is programming. So we ourselves can speak with different languages because we want to communicate, maybe with our friends, families, and others. To communicate with people, we need one medium, and that medium is our language. Maybe it could be English, it can be Spanish, it can be Hindi, Bengali, anything. To communicate with our computer, we also need to have one language because our computer, what we see, what we use, mobile phones, smartwatches, and everything, this is a very dumb instrument. And why am I saying that it's so dumb? Because it can't do anything itself. As a programmer, as a computer scientist, we need to provide the information to that gadget so that it can utilize and it can show us some result depending on what output we are seeking. So this computer is a dumb instrument. Now to communicate with the computer, we need some language. Unlike English and other languages, computer doesn't understand that. So we need a very specific language. Now computer can only understand binaries, which is zeros and ones, because in the world of computer it is either there is voltage or there is no. Nothing but some simple, very simple transistor is switched on or not. So from that point of view, if we want to contact or if we want to converse with the computer, we need to provide the instruction like 01, 001 in terms of zeros and ones. But it is very difficult for us, right? For that particular reason, we have discovered languages which are called programming languages like JavaScript, Python, Go, C++, Rust, anything. So the job of the programming language is, as a programmer, we can communicate with the computer with different layers. Of course, computer doesn't understand our simple English sort of programming, but that is it. Why exactly do we want to do programming? That is a very specific question, and we need to understand why. What does computer do, or what exactly is the meaning of a computer? A computer meaning is a gadget which can compute, as simple as that. So to say, if we want to compute something, or if we want the gadget to compute something for us, we need to know what exactly do we want to compute, right? So basically, for that purpose, we need to have what exactly is the problem so that we can solve, or not we, our computer can solve the problem for us. So before jumping into anything, we need to identify the problem. We need to instrument the problem so that that problem can be solved using our computer. So basically, first we need the problem. We have to get the problem, or we need to formulate the problem, and then only we can solve the problem, right? That is how computer programming has evolved in these years. Cool. Now there is something called high level language and low level language. Let me explain a little bit. We will discuss here. Now high level language is something that we write. We are writing something on our .py file, or maybe .cpp file, or maybe in .javascript file. Whatever we are writing on our code file, the computer does not understand. Our code goes through multiple layers, from high level language to middle level language, then converting that into assembly language, then machine language, and at the end, in terms of zeros and one, what our computer will understand. So for that purpose, we have discovered some language which is easily understandable for us and not for the computer. So that is why Python, C++, JavaScript, these are high level languages, because whatever we will be writing, we will be understanding pretty well. Maybe print something, add something, subtract something. These are very understandable to us because we have that cognition skill, so we can understand. But computer or our processor does not understand that. So for that purpose, we need to convert our high level language to the binary code, what our hardware can interact with. So that's why these are some 4 or 5 layers of abstractions depending on which language you are writing. So that is why this language, what we are coding, is called high level language. So maybe for C or C++, maybe if you want to write the same code, if you will need 50 lines. But in Python, if you are writing, since these are abstracted, it could be written in 20 lines or maybe 15 lines. Cool. Moving next, there is this question. It's a very famous question, like why Python? Why? There are multiple languages which can be taught. Why Python now? No, the fundamental reason is Python is easy to understand. Believe it or not, it is very simple. The syntax is very simple. It doesn't bother you with semicolon. It has got multiple libraries, and also it is very popular nowadays. Now, why popular? Because once the machine learning and artificial intelligence came into the picture, it has got very good popularity. It is very popular, and no matter what type of company you are going for interview or for job or internship, definitely at some point of time they are using Python for some microservices or something. Python can be utilized in multiple scenarios. As I mentioned earlier, AI and ML is a very specific domain where Python is extensively used. Then web development is also like using the Django framework or Flask framework. We can do something. Then we can develop graphical user interfaces. Like we have got some software, anything. It can be used in IoT also. If you know microcontroller and MicroPython, then MicroPython can be utilized in IoT devices. We can make small cars or drones or something. There also we can use Python. And also, I think I mentioned earlier, it has got huge library of modules. So you want to do something such with that particular idea that I want to do this, I'm sure you will get some library. So that's why Python is very popular. Cool. All right. So some basic terms we'll understand here. One very ridiculous thing is errors. The programmer's dream is, we do not want to get error. That is we developers dream. No syntax error. No, nothing. But reality is different. We will definitely get errors, and that's not bad because from errors we learn so many new things. Now there are mostly three types of errors in computing or in programming. One is the syntax error. Now syntax error is basically nothing but the grammatical mistakes. Now if I say that I am doing something, it's a perfectly grammatical sentence. But if I say I doing something, this is not grammatically correct. But since we are smart enough, we can understand what I'm trying to tell you. You can understand that I doing something. You definitely understand that I'm doing something. But computer does not forgive here. If you miss one semicolon in specific languages, if you miss commas, parentheses, it will throw error. So that is why it is called syntax error. The second type of error that can be thought of is runtime error. Now, runtime error is the error which only appear while the code is running or while we run our code. Before that, it is not possible to identify where the error is coming from. So that is why it is called runtime error. And this is also called exception because since we didn't want to get the error, it is an exception. The third type of error is semantic error. Now, this error is not exactly error, but what might happen that we have written a code and we were expecting something. Let's take the example of one program which is adding two values. We get add two values, and if you are adding 2 plus 3, you expect 5 to come, but instead if you see minus 1 is coming, this is a semantic error. The code runs perfect, there is no syntax error, there is no runtime error, but semantic error is you expected something, the opposite happened, but something different actually happened. So happened what we do not want. So we expected 5 to come, but it gave me minus 1. I mean, maybe instead of a addition symbol, you have put a minus. That is totally possible. So this is a semantic error. Computer doesn't complain, runtime error doesn't come, semantic error appears. So that is why it is called semantic error. Coming to the next. Oh boy, this is something that we really do not want to do. So, what is bug? A bug is a defect in our code. Not necessarily it should throw error. The bug can be different. Like bug, we can't really classify bugs because a bug can happen from spelling mistake. One bug can happen from missing one semicolon. A bug can happen from calling a function at a different point, maybe before some other function has been called. Anything. So a defect in our code is called bug. If we have bugs in our code, it doesn't work properly, and that is why we need to debug something. And also we need to remember that bugs can throw error. Also, it is totally fine if it doesn't throw error, like semantic errors. It doesn't throw error, but there is a bug. Cool. Now once we have got bug, we have to debug, and this is very artistic thing. Why? What exactly is debugging? Debugging is nothing but identifying the bug or defect, and then after identifying the defect, we need to modify our code in such a way that our code works perfectly or properly, at least this time, after debugging and fixing. Debugging means identifying the bug, and then bug fixing is a term where we fix our bug or we modify our code so that our code works properly. All right. So this is the last thing that I want to discuss, like what exactly is required from my end, from your end. So we need one code editor like VS Code, Sublime or Atom, whatever is your favorite. VS Code is the code editor that I shall be using because it is very popular and I love it. One Python interpreter. Now what is interpreter? This is also one software which can convert our Python code into machine code line by line. The third thing that I am expecting from every one of you is interest. If you want to learn programming or anything to so to say, you have to have that interest of learning. Otherwise, you might fail. And the fourth thing that I want to mention, please do not write your code on WordPad or any word processor. Please, no. And word processor is something where we can bold, italic, and underline our texts, but in code editor, we can't do that. So that is how you can differentiate between the word processor and an editor. Cool. So if you have anything, any questions, please feel free to comment. I shall be reaching out to everyone with your solution. Let's move ahead.